Championship Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching World of Matchups, NFL Handicapping Podcast, coming to you guys live and direct from Las Vegas, Nevada, home of the handicap. My name is Dexter Reed. I am your host. On the other side of the glass, my A1 from day one, Mr. Spencer the Wiz. What a divisional round matchup we witnessed last week, and it has been chock full of NFL news this week. Before we break these games down, Spencer, let's talk about it. What's going on?
Yeah, this is so exciting. I mean, the NFL, like World of Matchups, definitely does not stop with the Super Bowl. I've already started my big board when it comes to the NFL draft. Like, I'm just so excited. I think this is going to be a really fun offseason and tons of news. I mean, it kind of all broke this week. Truly, I think it's kind of sad how the coaching carousel works, that you can't wait. I feel like you should have to wait until after the Super Bowl. So it feels kind of weird that all of this is going on, but nonetheless, okay, we got some of the biggest bombs of the week, and I guess we'll start with one of the bigger ones. We'll jump over to the Bears. Somewhere the Bears are in here. There we go. Okay, that's Ben Johnson. This was a big surprise, I guess, for a lot of people. So the Raiders were kind of really that one that everyone was talking about for a long time. I mean, the Bears were kind of floating around, but there weren't that many serious reports. I mean, they're reporting that the Raiders are right there at the finish line, but I think ultimately the lack of a quarterback just was that final decision as when it came to it, right? The Raiders don't have a quarterback, and also the Raiders aren't going to have a quarterback next season. There's just it's not going to happen. They're not in position to draft one. I don't think they're going to trade up because you have two teams that need quarterbacks, right? Unless you jumped first overall, but I don't know. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be Travis Hunter and then the two quarterbacks. Whatever order you want those three teams to draft them in, I think it's going to change like 1,000 times before the draft day comes around. But those three guys are going to be gone, and there's no one else worth taking. So Ben Johnson saw that. Caleb Williams is there. I mean, it's a safer bet for him.
It's a slam dunk.
Yeah. Something feels a little bit off about the whole Lions situation to me. I can't really explain it. Obviously, when we in our other video, when we talk about the breakdown of how the Commanders got to the championship game, it just seems like everyone was halfway out the door. And I don't know, Ben Johnson's entire attitude towards this is like, feels like he's already won a Super Bowl. It's like, dude, you actually haven't even made it to the championship game ever in your career. So
nobody knew who Ben Johnson was 2 years ago.
Yeah, shit's not always sweet. Like, I feel like for Ben Johnson, and I feel like he's going to realize that when he becomes a head coach. Now, I'm not going to lie. I was like caught up in the hype for sure when it came to Ben Johnson. You know, I'm like, I wanted him to come to the Raiders. I started having all these offseason plans with the guy, but I don't know. Now I think that the dust has settled. I'm a little like, I don't know, like something is a little bit weird about the whole Bears situation. It's like, I don't know if they're going to just immediately become this 11-win team.
No, they're
1,000 points a game. So I don't know. I don't know how you feel about the Ben Johnson hire. Obviously, it's the biggest free agent head coach out there, or, you know, soon to be head coach, first time head coach. But I feel like they've already signed like their name into the Lombardi trophy, but it's like, you got a long way to go if you're the Bears franchise.
Just because you can call plays doesn't mean you can be a leader of men. Pete Carroll over Ben Johnson 1,000 times. I'm not caught up with the Ben Johnson hype. I know a lot of you guys out there need coaching. You know what I mean? And this guy's young, and everyone's looking for the next Sean McVay. I get that. But like I just said, nobody knew who Ben Johnson was 2 years ago. Literally, foot's halfway out the door while his team is getting murdered at home. I don't like how
horrible game plan for that.
I don't like how any of this thing has gone down. None of it. At all. And just because you're going to a team that has weapons doesn't mean it's going to work out. Look at what Eberflus did. Now, Eberflus is a more defensive-minded head coach. You know, BJ is more of a offensive-minded head coach, but it doesn't mean it's going to work. It doesn't mean it's going to work. Chicago has pretty much throughout their whole existence been a defensive-known team. Now you're going to ask an old Keenan Allen and some newer pieces to just work with a guy because he had some success in Detroit. I'm not feeling it at all. On World of Matchups meter, I give it a 4.5 out of 10. We will revisit.
Yeah, it's like overly hyped. So we'll jump over to the other Lions staff since we're on the subject. This one, I would not be excited if the Raiders got him. I wouldn't be a huge fan of it. Arron Glenn. Again, I know it's a little bit of recency bias for sure, like going back to that Washington game, but have the Lions defense over the course of the last couple of years really been that guy where you're like, wow, these guys are locked down? It's like, not really. It's kind of been outscoring your opponents. So that's more of a point towards Ben Johnson than I think Arron Glenn. Is Arron Glenn really the slam dunk pick for the Jets? They have a lot of problems in that franchise. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be there next year necessarily. And is this guy going to come in and bring in a great offensive coordinator? The well is drying up quick, and it's at least at offensive coordinator. Now, I know Bobby Slowick just became a free agent, which I'm not sure what the Texans are thinking there. He's definitely the hottest offensive coordinator free agent out there. So the Jets are going to be desperate to get him, but they're going to have to get in line because there are 3 other coaches. And if I'm the Raiders, man, we'll talk about them in a second. Bobby Slowick is like really one of the only names remaining out there that is going to, really be a headliner before you start reaching a little bit, taking receiver coordinators, stuff like that. I don't know if Arron Glenn has that kind of pull.
He doesn't.
Is really he the name, or everyone's going to want to come and build this great staff? I'm not really sure why the Jets were so excited to jump on this one, because this isn't, I never thought, like, going into the offseason, man, I'd love to have Arron Glenn on my team. And maybe he's a great guy. I'm sure he is, but a defensive-minded coach for the Jets, didn't they just do that with Robert Saleh? And then they learned right after he was gone, he really wasn't the problem with the franchise.
I don't like it at all. I think they signed Arron Glenn as a panic desperation move. I do believe he did play for the Jets back in the day. So there's that. But the bottom line is that, again, you're just expecting a DC to come in and be HC. Robert Saleh just proved to you that it's not as easy as people think. And he got fired, and the Jets got worse, yes. And now he's highly coveted and going back to San Francisco, yes. But, guys, it takes a special kind of person to be a leader of men. It's not just X's and O's. You have to be able to be a leader of men. And I think a lot of these hires they're panic hires. They're basically telling you that we know we are not going to win anything anytime soon, but we have to fill the position. And a lot of them might even be DEI hires, let's be honest. I mean, look, I'm not sold on anything the Jets are doing as long as Aaron Rodgers are there. I'm not even going to waste my breath talking about them anymore. As long as Aaron Rodgers is there, the Jets are dead to me.
Yeah, they need to get that sorted out. We'll save the Raiders for last. We'll go into really one of the most interesting stories of the early offseason. I mean, for these other teams, right, that aren't playing for the Super Bowl. Liam Cohen, they reported that he signed a massive new deal to be the offensive coordinator of the Bucs. And then he ghosted them and he joined the Jaguars. A pretty crazy story. I mean, it was a last minute. I mean, it looked like it was a done deal that he made this deal to become the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL. And then boom, he's gone. So kind of a strange way to leave a team. I mean, we've seen this before. Obviously, this isn't new, but definitely kind of bizarre how it ended up going down. But if you're the Jaguars, you're very excited about this. I was nervous as a Raiders fan because they poached the assistant GM from the Bucs from them, and I thought, ooh, maybe they'd go as a package deal and he would, kind of leave the Raiders at the last second, just like kind of he did. But no, they ended up, the Raiders secured him, which I was really excited about. I mean, yeah, this is a good move, I think, for the Jaguars. It was time to, you've already pushed all your chips in the middle for Trevor Lawrence. It didn't work out this last year, and you're doing it again. You don't have a choice, right? If you're the Jaguars, this is the only thing you can do. You got to keep trying to find offensive minds to pair Trevor Lawrence in the hopes that he'll finally do it, right? We thought it was going to be this year. I mean, everybody did, essentially, because we've been told forever this guy's a generational talent. It hasn't worked out on the field. So now he has Liam Cohen. I mean, the excuses get less and less. And I still don't – I think they should have franchised Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
But I know that gets a little bit sticky. I still think that was the right move for them because now it looks like they're kind of stuck. They gave him a mega deal. It was kind of random at the time.
They gave him Mahomes money. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So,
absolutely,
I think Liam Cohen was probably one of the better hires of the offseason, and a good job by them to convince him to come. I don't know how they did it, but they did.
I like what Cohen has done. I mean, his nickname now is Shady Cohen. Let's be honest. That was complete shadiness. But don't be mad at the player. Be mad at the game. This is the NFL, and the guy is doing what's best for his family long term. You're giving him what everyone thinks is a generational quarterback who is paid up. I mean, I can't be mad at Trevor Lawrence because Shad Khan is the owner and Shad Khan's pockets are deep as the Atlantic Ocean. You know,
Yeah.
like I said, it is what it is, man. Guy got paid. I'm happy for him. And I'm not mad at Daniel Jones for getting paid. How am I going to be mad at this guy? You know what I mean? I think they're about equal talent. It is what the NFL is. And so now Cohen inherits a decent squad. Brian Thomas Jr., he's got decent running backs and a young, hungry defense, and they're going to have a high draft pick. This is a win for Cohen. This is a win for Cohen, and I don't think it's that much of an L for Tampa Bay, honestly. I mean, I don't think so. They have had a nice year, and the pieces are still in place. Baker Mayfield's still there. You still have Evans. Godwin will be back. McMillan is young and hungry. You know, you got Bucky there. You have Rashad there. I mean, they'll find a guy to help put that puzzle together. Liam Cohen's another one of these guys, and no one knew who this guy was before this year. And again, situations matter. Yes, he'll be in a good spot, but doesn't mean he's going to do a good job. You know what I mean? Me, I'm of the old school, man. I want to go get a guy with a proven track record. I like what the Raiders did. I like how the Chiefs went and got Andy Reid. I like how Denver went and got Sean Payton. I don't want to risk my franchise on a guy because you're looking for him to be the next Sean McVay. That's a needle in a haystack move. And don't forget, guys, Sean McVay came from a great coaching tree. These guys are 1 in a million for it to happen. You're throwing a dart and closing your eyes hoping that Liam Cohen now turns into mini Bill Belichick. Guys, this rarely happens. But I'm happy for the Jags, and I hope it works out because I'm tired of thinking that Trevor Lawrence is the generational bust versus being the next generational quarterback. His rope is way too long. And for the hate that we give some of these other quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence has repeatedly gotten a pass, and I'm tired of it. The guy is an absolute bum. But I wish Shady Cohen luck.
All right, I'll mention the other ones, but this is probably the last major headline because the Saints don't have a quarterback, and I don't know what the Cowboys are doing. I'll talk about that in a second.
The Cowboys.
The Raiders signed Pete Carroll. I mean, that was kind of the news. I mean, this was plan B for them, right? Ben Johnson was always plan A. I think that's why they fired their GM so early, Tom Telesco, in the season, as really like a kind of almost chips in the center. But now that we know what's really happened, I feel like Tom Telesco really was out the door. Tom Brady wanted to bring in his guy, Spy Tech. So it ended up being really good. I like this guy. He definitely was the hottest free agent GM to be out there, assistant GM to become a new GM. And they get a proven head coach. I mean, I'm really happy about this. I was thinking, back to when they hired Gruden. It wasn't like Gruden was a bad coach, right? He brought in a bunch of stability. Now, his problem was that he is an absolute oaf when it came to the draft room, and he couldn't shut his mouth and let everyone else make the decisions for him. If they had hit on those drafts where John Gruden was here, they would be really competing for a playoff. I mean, think about it. They took the Bengals to the last drive of the game, and they had 3 of the worst drafts in franchise history, like in a row. If they hit on those, I mean, where would they be, right? Good head coaches matter. We've seen that obviously in the AFC West. All 3 teams made the playoffs, and all 3 teams have great head coaches. And I think the Raiders did the same thing. Now, I'm hoping they keep Patrick Graham around. And actually, I saw a report today that said that they are interested in doing that.
They're interested in doing that.
I think the stability at the defensive coordinator position is great. I love Patrick Graham. Now, the problem is you can't make him the head coach this year because he's just not going to be able to bring in the staff. I think they made such a great decision here. Pete Carroll's got a great name. He's got a great coaching tree. So guys are going to love to come to here. We'll have to see what they do. I mean, I'm really hoping they can get Bobby Slowick, and I hope Pete Carroll's name is enough to get that juice in there to bring him in because I just think it would be a great pairing. I think it would be an amazing staff for the Raiders. They have a lot of problems, right? This is not going to get turned around next year. They're not making the playoffs next year. They're not getting a quarterback. You're going to bring in a veteran quarterback, but the Raiders are going to have a steady entry, right? The first year, when Sean Payton came back was terrible. It was awful for the Broncos. That's fine. I'm so sick of this short-term patchwork that the Raiders seem to try to do every single year. Just make good decisions, right? Eventually, you're going to make so many good decisions that it's going to come together. The Raiders have amazing draft position going into next year. I know they won some meaningless games, but now that we know they're not getting a quarterback, and honestly, I'm not even sure how I feel about this year's quarterbacks. I've done a lot of deep scouting on both. I like Cam Moore, but that's just not going to happen. So the Raiders can get a guy like Abdul Carter at 6 or Will Johnson. My goodness. They have a great position to draft in the second round, 2 third-round picks because the Jets are idiots and they gave us one for Devontae Adams, and they got off all that money. The Raiders can grab some good free agents. They can draft well. This is a foundational year for the Raiders, and I think they hired the perfect guy to like make sure that foundation is laid. I'm very excited actually as a Raiders fan right now.
Yeah, I'm happy with Pete Carroll. You know, we clown the guy because he's pretty much a corpse at 73, but I'd rather have a 73-year-old corpse versus a 43-year-old offensive coordinator who's really never done anything in his entire life. And let's be honest, if he doesn't blow it and just give Marshawn the ball, he'd have another ring. I like it. AFC West is going to be a gauntlet of head coaching. You know, you got Andy Reid, who's not going anywhere as long as Patrick Mahomes is breathing. Pete Carroll. I mean, look, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton. This is great for the AFC West is going to be tough as soon as the Raiders get their act together. I like it. I've been saying it for years, and I'm going to continue to say it. Money talks, but control hollers. You know, you've watched these GMs be fired. They get Balky out. You know what I mean? I'm sure that was part of getting Liam Cohen to Jacksonville. You know, they get Telesco out. You know what I mean? Like, Pete Carroll is coming in knowing that even when they bring in a new OC, he's the guy, man. This is his show. He is running the show. The GM is going to listen to him. And that's what it takes. You know, if you guys can't come in together and work together, one guy is going to be listening to the other guy. And that's how it goes down when you have seniority at 73 years old, a ring, another Super Bowl that you went to and lost, and a litany of players saying how much they love to play for you. This is a win for the Raiders, and I honor them for bringing the guy in.
Yeah, the only other names, I guess, we talked about Mike Vrabel already, right? That
He was gone, dude.
I was
Vrabel
decided before the year even started.
Mike Vrabel was signed a year ago.
Yeah.
Let's stop.
He got a vacation year, basically.
Gerard Mayer was just keeping the bed warm.
Yeah, I feel bad for the guy, honestly. And then, you know, you have Brian Schottenheimer as the new Cowboys head coach.
I'm not even wasting my time talking about the Cowboys.
Such a Jerry Jones.
Listen, on World of Matchups, guys, unless we're handicapping a game that the Dallas Cowboys are in, we're not going to waste our time talking about them anymore until Jerry Jones puts the reins down or is 6 feet under. It's just deplorable, and I'm not going to say any more about it. We got other stuff to talk about.
All right, that's the coaching carousel. So make sure you guys watch our other video that'll be released today. We're going to be breaking down NFL Championship Sunday.
Let's go.